Hello, everyone. We have with us today Mr. Girish Aggarwal, who is the Managing Director of APM Terminals Pipavav, which runs India's first private port at Pipavav in Gujarat. Thank you, Girish, for taking the time out from your busy schedule to talk to us. This is a series of recordings that we are doing in the run-up to our ports and shipping event that's happening in Mumbai on the 25th of September, as you know. So to set the ball rolling, let me ask you. I mean, just one basic thing: does APM Terminals run a port, a full-fledged ports elsewhere in the globe?
Hey, good afternoon, Manoj. Thank you for having me. Yes, the answer is yes. While we are predominantly as APM terminals, we run container terminals, but we do run some ports globally. Callao in South America, Bahrain in Middle East are some examples. Poti, Georgia are some examples.
Okay. Okay, that's good, Gatya, because I was under the impression that APM Terminals is basically a container port operating unit of the AP Moller Maersk Group. So I was just, I mean, this is something that I wanted to clarify. Okay, so to ask you on Pipavav, Pipavav has been the first private port in India. That's where the whole thing started. The port privatization and all that. Many years down the line. Where do you see Pipavav now in terms of, has it reached a stage where you had envisioned at the time when you made the investment and, those kind of things?
Yeah. So I think in the concession that we had, we kind of took over roughly 2003, 2004. So if I just look at just pure numbers from 2004 to about 2024, we've grown overall at a CAGR of 10%, which is probably higher than the overall growth rates in India, overall cargo, I mean, right, at a port level. I think we, in terms of numbers itself, we would be on the non-major port category, the number 1, 2, or 3 when it comes to the various types of cargoes that we handle, whether it is ro-ro, whether it is containers, even liquids and fertilizers. We're probably the highest or the fastest growing port amongst the non-major ports. In terms of, more importantly, people, what we bring to the table, I think is also extremely positive from a sustainability perspective. If you look at, we are now 80% on scope to emission reduction. We have 2 PPAs which are live. When it comes to social development, we touch almost 2/3 of all villages in Amreli, which we are extremely proud of, whether it is healthcare, whether it is education. I mean, we are in the forefront of developing the communities around us. We give local employment. We are probably the largest employment generator in Saurashtra with almost 10,000 plus jobs, primary, secondary, tertiary put together. Then in terms of growth, we have an ambitious agenda as we move forward. We just got our environment clearance, which means we can now expand further. We've already announced a new liquid jetty, which is another 3.2 million metric tons on top of 2.2 that we have today. And then it allows us to double our capacity on the container side as well as on the ro-ro side. So yes, quite fulfilling, but a lot more to do.
You just spoke about, getting environmental clearance for the expansion. There was an environmental clearance some time back, and it ran through the course, and for some reason you were not able to because of commercial reasons and the trade flows and all that. So, what exactly is the environmental clearance now, and what is the expansion plan?
So for the current environment clearance is for roughly a project or spend of about 3,500 crores. It entails a new liquid jetty, which we have already started. We expect that to go live November, December next year. That's 3.2 million metric tons, full VLGC, etc., etc. We would then expand our capacities on container terminals with a new container terminal within the port. We are currently have a capacity of 1.3 million TUs. It will go up to 2.15 million TUs. We have currently a capacity of 250,000 cars, or RoRo, as we call it. We expect to expand that to about 500,000 cars. So between now and 2033, when I think broadly the EC will expire, we expect to kind of broadly double all our capacities on what we work. It also comes with a lot of landside capacities, etc.
So now in this whole expansion plan, you will face, I wouldn't say a bit of a constraint, but your concession is ending, and you are talking about an expansion that will overshoot that concession period. And I know that this discussions about getting the concession extended has been going on. What exactly is the status? Are you getting the right signals from the state government on? I mean, I'm sure it will be, because otherwise you would not look at investing somewhere around 3,500 crores for expansion if you don't have the visibility of a concession. So where is it right now?
Yeah, so I think the government, we're in talks with all the relevant government stakeholders. I think all discussions are moving in the right direction, all positive discussions. Having said that, we will still await, the confirmation from the government in terms of the expansion. You're absolutely right in terms of overall expansion. While this liquid jetty will go live before the concession expires, most of the other investments will happen, post the concession approval.
Yeah. So, but that's right. I mean, it's not only about your particular port. I mean, the policy will be for all the private ports, for which the concession is extended. So it's not something that is unique to you. And port being a very highly capital intensive and long gestation project, which requires a certain amount of time to recover the investments. I think it's a fair thing for the government to look at extending the concession. Am I right?
I think we leave that to the government to decide. But from our perspective, I think we are very, very open and hopeful that the government will extend our concession. I think there's a big plan that we have in terms of improving and expanding our capacities, investing in the growth of the state of Gujarat. So we await final decision from the government. But of
In
course,
terms of
the government will have to finally take the final call.
Right. In terms of cargo profile, over a period of years, what has been the strength of Pipavav? Which segment of cargo are you very strong at? And going forward, which segment of cargo are you looking to capture?
I think if you look at the profile of cargo, Manoj, currently roughly two-thirds of our business is container cargo, and one-third of our business, at a very high level, broad, right? One-third of our mix is non-container cargo. So we continue to strengthen our container business. Yes, over the last couple of years, because of various geopolitical situations, our numbers or growth on containers has been muted. But we believe that is the mainstay of our overall growth and will continue to be the mainstay of our overall growth. Our parent organization has equity, and we believe that is something that gives us a lot of strength to grow in the container business. On the non-container side also, I think we've been moving, we've been putting a lot of effort on the growth path. If you look at last 4 or 5 years of CAGR, we have a CAGR growth of about 80-85% on RoRo. Under the Make in India scheme, I think India's exports of automotives to the world is expanding, will continue to expand. We recently exported about 1,500 EVs to Europe. We were the first port to export cars to Japan, Maruti Suzuki and Honda both. So I think that is something that will continue to grow, maybe not at a CAGR of 80-85%, but there is substantial growth that we see. We'll probably end around 200,000 cars this calendar year. We think 500,000 cars by 2030-31 is what is definitely possible. In terms of liquids also, the last 4 or 5 years, our CAGR growth has been about 20%. Again, Prime Minister's Ujjwala Yojana, the push for LPG, cleaner fuels for the rural hinterland, I think is something that is extremely promising, keeps growing the market. Also, the Kandla-Gorakhpur pipeline will get joined also at Pipavav. So that allows us new markets, new avenues, and hence we believe that we will continue to see strong growth in liquids as well.
Yeah, Gujarat is a long coastline and it's the number one state in terms of non-major ports and, the amount of cargo handled, plenty of competition in and around Pipavav. How do you manage to, live up to the expectations of the customers in terms of rates, in terms of productivity, efficiency, and all of that?
Um, I think the way I would like to say is it's our people. It's easy. Anyone can buy the cranes, Manoj. It's the same cranes at PMC that delivers cranes practically across the board in the world. But if you look at how we perform, is really the people that make a difference. The kind of training, methodologies, processes that we have. We've been ranked the number one port in the CPPI index for 3 years in a row. And that calls for something that really that talks about the efficiencies that we deliver. Our turnaround times are one of the fastest in India of vessels. If you look at container business, crane moves per hour is a critical measure of efficiency. We are ahead of the India targets, probably one of the best again in India. We are amongst the top 5 if I look at our global portfolio of 65 ports in the world. So we are one of the best when it comes to efficiencies. We continuously invest in technology to kind of upgrade ourselves to improve. We are also one of the safest ports in India. We have had no fatalities in our operationally controlled terminals since 2019, and that calls for something that also tells us the kind of processes that we run in the port. At the same time, we provide integrated services, whether it is container, bulk, liquid, RoRo, connectivity to hinterland through various ICDs, through the rail network. 65% of our cargo today moves on rail rather than road, which very different profile for any other port in India. It's a mainstay of our movement. It's a far more cleaner movement, far more faster movement. We are connected on the DFC, and what used to take earlier 3 days takes only 30 hours today. So I think from that perspective, we are very well positioned to continue to grow in the state of Gujarat.
Well, it's a very, very, very insightful, response that you've given. When you talked about technology, uh, how much has technology helped you improve your services to the customers?
Significant. It is, again, we have what's called a digital twin. We have a program running on lean methodology. We call it flow, but it essentially is how the flow of goods move within our terminal. So if you potentially, and you're welcome to come to our port in terminal, you will see our control room where each and every crane is digitally mapped. We exactly know what is the performance of that crane before we start our vessels, and then we measure ourselves at the end of the vessel, as the vessel finishes, what was the actual performance, what was the deviation, and what do we need to do improvement. So on an ongoing, online, real-time basis, I get to understand how my cranes are performing, how my assets are performing, where are my trucks, how are they moving, which is the slowest route for the truck to move, which is the fastest route for the truck to move. All in all, ensuring that my turnaround time for the vessel to improve. Just as a metric, we measure what's called port hour save, which is on a baseline of 2021, how much faster did I turn around a vessel? At this point in time, I'm sitting at a 23% faster turnaround a vessel on a baseline of 2021. And this is something that we continuously kind of monitor and improve. Technology plays an extremely important role in terms of how we kind of work today in the port. From a safety perspective, we have all our cameras. We have a 11.2-kilometer perimeter, very, very difficult to man. Everything is done through cameras. All of our cameras, almost 150 of them in the port, are manned through a video AI. They continuously monitor any perimeter breach. They continuously monitor safety parameters, whether people are wearing helmets or not, for example. Are they getting down in areas where are the drivers getting down in areas they're not supposed to get down? Also, movement of lions, which is quite a bit in our port, to ensure that our people are safe. We are, I think, continuously improving on the technology parameters in the port.
If you were to look at, if I were to ask you rather, which is one cargo in the future that is going to drive your capacity utilization? Is it cargo that you have never thought of handling? Is there anything like that on the horizon?
So we are already, I mean, there's nothing like not on the, we've not handled anything. I mean, for example, we have a short term contract with ONGC. We do their OSB. Essentially, they have a base in Nava, as you of course know. Now they will be using our base for moving their cargo to their
Supplies.
rigs. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is already started. We're working with them on a longer term contract. Let's see when that fructifies. We've done project cargo. I believe as we keep moving forward, Dholera becomes more and more real and large factories kind of get set up in Dholera. I believe there will be a lot of project cargo. We are continuously working and in touch with Tata Technologies, for example, on the semiconductor side. That's a business that India is a growth sector for India. I believe we would be a strong partner for several fab units that are coming up in the state of Gujarat. Automotive continues to be a very strong growth sector for India as well as for us. Maruti, Honda are very large customers for us today. Moving forward, I believe alternate energies like green hydrogen potential is high in India. State of Gujarat could be also a very promising state where alternate energies like green hydrogen and offshore wind, we could partner in that as well. So, I mean, there are very high growth sectors that India places a lot of promise on that I think we will partner as we move along.
So many of the ports are also taking positions in view of the decarbonization, efforts that's underway. A lot of them are looking at setting up green hydrogen facilities, methanol, and all of those things. Are you also looking at setting up some kind of a thing? Secondly, in terms of green fuel bunkering, that is another area that is also
Yes.
coming into play, and also ship to, I mean, ship to shore, I mean, shore to ship power. That's also another thing that's happening. So what is it that you have in your plans?
Yeah, Manoj, I think that's a great question, right? So, we had signed a MOU with NTPC a couple of years back in terms of developing a green hydrogen base out of Pipavav. I think we have been in some discussions with NTPC. Let's see how that goes. But we believe there is a clear opportunity of building green hydrogen, though it may take more time than what we had envisaged. But there is clearly high promise of building it. And as you rightly said, potential for India to be a bunkering hub on green methanol, for example. Most of the vessels are today dual vessels, dual fuel vessels. Green methanol is probably one of the most promising ones in terms of alternate energies. I think the challenge, of course, currently is on pricing. But I'm very sure as we kind of start to move forward, that pricing problem will be resolved and green methanol will be available at a reasonable price. It will still be more expensive than current fuel, but to start with, I think everybody is open to kind of pay more for these green alternatives. In terms of overall sustainability, we have, as APMT, globally announced 2040 net zero targets. Pipavav also will be net zero by 2040 for sure. Scope 2, as I said, through the two PPAs, we are already at 80%. Lesser carbon emissions. Scope 1 is something that we are working on. In Scope 1, again, most of our cranes are electrified, including RTGs. We were one of the first ports to have eRTGs, electrified RTGs in our premises. What is not electrified is the truck trailers and the tugs that we use. We are already working with multiple people to try and see how do we move towards an electric tug stroke truck trailers. That would reduce our scope 1 emissions as well.
Very interesting, very interesting. Now moving on to the land side, land also plays a great role in the efficiency and productivity of a port in terms of reducing the congestion. However much you are efficient on the water side, I mean, if you don't match it up on the land side, it's going to be a problem for you. I mean, you did mention that you have got a good land side infrastructure and the connectivity in place, but to explore it a little further. I mean, DFC, you're connected to DFC. How much has that enabled you? I mean, not only in terms of reducing the carbon footprint and in terms of sending and receiving larger amounts of cargo in one single trip. What else have you achieved by this DFC? And going forward, how much do you plan to achieve?
I think DFC fundamentally could be a game changer. If you look, I mean, for us, again, as I said, most of our cargo now moves through rail. 65% of my cargo moves through rail and on the DFC. We are connected on a single line between our port and Surendranagar, which is the node for the DFC, through PRCL. And then, of course, the DFC takes over. It's all electrified and kind of clean energy source. I think the challenge, I think apart from all the good things that I've already talked about, and that there are quite a few good things on the DFC, I think there is still the big conversion from road to rail that needs to happen. I think there is a lot of cargo that flows on road, which can come to rail. Today, some of these elements that do not, some of the parameters that do not enable this easy movement from road to rail is still pricing. I think the government needs to look at, and it's not only government, I mean, Indian Railways, of course, but also the CTOs who need to really look at how do you pass on the benefits of double stacking back to the end customer and enable them to move to rail much, much more. Over a period of time, I would argue that today, of course, railways, the maximum that they carry is coal, but over a period of time, I would argue that would start to come down in terms of freight component of rail, and the growth component for railways would always be, to my mind, containers. And there must be a lot of effort and push to try and push containerized cargo onto the rail over road. But a lot more needs to be done.
Yeah, but that's when I realized that this recent reforms in GST was a little bit on the roadside in terms of reducing the rates over a lot of components and all that, whereas they haven't done much for the rail sector. It was an opportunity for the government to do this pivot into rail. What do you think about it?
I mean, I think in general, GST is an extremely important reform. I think we must
Okay.
give credit where it is due to the government in bringing down the end consumer pricing and give a growth fillip to the country. I think in general, as the growth goes up, because of these reforms, both direct and indirect taxes, I think in general the volume growth will happen. The consumption will start to grow in India, which would also mean that we would need to import some parts of the elements that we continue to import. So I think in general it is positive for the port sector and the logistics sector. I think rather than just the taxation piece, I think it is important again. As I say, there are some reforms that are needed further in terms of growing cargo on this DFC. I think it starts with railways looking at what is their pricing per kilometer that they have, and then the CTOs also genuinely passing on the benefits that they get of both the faster asset turnaround as well as double stacking to the end consumer. That I think will be a critical piece to further grow the rail sector.
Now, you already said that container is one of your fastest growing and your mainstay. Uh, which typically, what is the flow like? From Pipavav, it goes to Far East or to Europe or to the US. Which segment of trade is critical to Pipavav? I mean, where do you see it?
I think both imports and exports is both critical, Manoj. But today, if I look at my profile, We are a little bit more import heavy and Far East heavy. So we have probably all the flagship services of all large players in the market when it comes to Far East, whether it is Maersk, whether it is ONE, whether it is Costco, OOCL. So their flagship services of the Far East call us. On the Europe, US, or the export side, what we typically do is US East Coast, and then the Middle East. So we kind of connect practically all of the globe in smaller numbers than some of our competition. Both are critical as I see it. I think India is poised to grow exponentially when I talk about exports. So exports markets will be critical, whether it is Europe, Middle East, or the US. While we have the tariff from President Trump, which is not helping us any bit, but I'm very sure that we will find our ways to come back to normal. There are two or three categories of trades that have got impacted, but I'm very, very sure as Indians, ingenuity as well as our ability and resilience will allow us to kind of go back and claw back into these categories as well. On the import side, will as our growth continues to be high, I think we just did surprisingly 7.8% growth in Q1, which is extremely positive. I think, and with the reforms on direct and indirect taxation, I only see our growth going up, which really means that the import side of the exim cargo will also improve.
Everybody talks about deep draft ports these days. I mean, everybody would like to flaunt that, they are the biggest in terms of depth and all that. What is the draft at Pipavav, and do you plan to deepen the port further to accommodate larger container ships, or for that matter, larger ships, larger parcel size ships?
Yes, very much. So our current draft is 14.5 meters. We expect to expand this to 15.5 to 16 meters in the coming years.
In one stroke or in gradual manner?
Now we have to deepen the entire channel, Manoj. So one stroke, 14.5
Okay.
to 15.5 for sure. The next one, we will see whether it is 15.5 or 16, but it'll be in one stroke, minimum 15.5.
Is that part of your expansion plan? Is
It
that
is,
part?
it is
Does
part
it?
of the,
Okay.
it's part of the.
Okay. Okay, okay, good. Very nice to know. Very nice to know. I mean, it's a very great, interesting conversation that we are having. Would you like to add anything that I've missed out on? Probably that you wanted to say something that I haven't asked you. Please go ahead.
Now you you asked me most of the relevant discussions. I think uh, I just want to say that I think India and the state of Gujarat are poised for a huge opportunity and growth. Both the Prime Minister as well as the Chief Minister have laid out good, reasonable, and stretch targets for all of the industry in terms of the GDP level for India as well as the state of Gujarat. I think we are well poised to partner in that, and we look forward to partnering with the state of Gujarat in their growth journey.
One final question that I want to ask you is that, India, as you know, this 2047 target, 2030 target, and all that, and we have the government has set huge targets, as you just said. How do you see India? I mean, bureaucracy and, this government machinery have always, sometimes it is fickle. You have to deal with a whole lot of, paperwork and all that. How do you see it has panned out over the past decade or so, especially in Gujarat? What do you say about the investment climate and the facilitative measures of the government in Gujarat for the port sector?
Very positive. Again, while we keep hearing the word bureaucracy, but I can assure you, we have some of the finest officers in the government of Gujarat. I work with many of them because of the nature of the work that we have. We get all the support that we need, honestly, Manoj, in terms of our investments, in terms of any process related gaps, and in terms of receptiveness to ideas. Uh, so I think, honestly, I think Gujarat has some of the finest officers who are focused on increasing or developing the state of Gujarat.
Well, that's all evident, in the ground, right? I mean, in terms of whatever they have done, and they are by far the largest port in the country in terms of port development, right? I mean, the number of ports and, the facilitative policies and all of that. Anyway, it was a great conversation, Girish, and let's keep something aside when we meet again on the 25th of September. And
Yes,
I hope to catch up with you there. And thank you for your time, I know, for, taking time to speak to us today. From your busy schedule, you could manage some time and really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
thank you so much, Manoj. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Take care.
yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Catch up.
Thank you.